Hey you guys, this is Titan War Finals for January 2016. It's also the PvP debut of my new Freya Sylph, my first merged Sylph, and really just a lot of fun. Some people don't really like the decision that I went with Freya instead of Odin. I could have done Odin. I could have paid a few Balins to make Odin instead of Freya, and there's a very strong argument for why Odin is a much more practical Sylph. It's a much better all-around Sylph if you're just talking about overall play, for sure, but I've been having so much fun playing a water sylph, playing Poseidon throughout really all of the PvP that's anything to do with groups. So Chaos War and Titan War are really the big ones, but just in general, really enjoying playing a water sylph, and Freya's like a really nice upgrade. It's like getting a water sylph a better AoE. Tsunami actually deals more damage once it's a merge sylph skill than when it's a water sylph skill, and so that's very nice. And so I've got this big group shield. This shield, it's like a knight's, what's it called? Not Agoran shield? Yeah, Apollo is the reduced damage. So it's like a knight's Agoran shield, except better. Agoran shield, I think, is 30% of a knight's HP, and this one is 40% of the player, so the target's HP, becomes an absorption shield, and so it's really, really OP, very nice. And so it didn't quite go this way against this group, but what you'll often see throughout this is I go into Sylph mode, I heal up the team because, Skoon, Balwin, and Shock are going to take a lot more damage than I do against these huge OP teams that are in Warlord's Hall. So this team we're struggling quite a bit, and so yeah. I go into Sylph mode, I'll heal, I'll put the shield up so, everybody's in the clear at least for a while, and then I'll start doing the AoEs. I'll probably steal, do a Delphic, and do a Tsunami. At that point, from what I can tell, I'm losing awakening points. So there we lost on time. The other team also dropped their kids, and so it's usually a toss-up when we get into those situations. Who wins? They're quite strong. So they did a nice job here. And here are our guildies. Robin, Seven, Midori, Maybe, and Mikey all in a group together. They do a very nice job. Their class makeup to me is a little bit jealous because they have any archer. I love Skoon and Bwin, but some days I just want them to convert into the other physical attack class, just because archers really help pump up the team damage, and I like that quite a bit. But regardless of that, these guys, don't always make it into Warlord's Hall, but sometimes they can push their way in. Sometimes they manage. Just depends on sort of the makeup of that month. So here we go into Sylph mode. Robin tries to stun me, but it fails. Go for your steal. Go for a steal here. I think at the beginning fights I don't have quite the PvP figured out, but also in this situation they haven't dealt any Sylph damage, so the team is doing fine. I don't need to heal. So go for this group shield. This is a Delphic, so it cost me 500 awakening points. So I have 2 Delphics on this Sylph, so it does cost quite a bit. Makes me get out of Sylph mode sooner. That's the case with all of the merged Sylph skills. They have a lot of very attractive Delphics that cost a lot of awakening points, and so you don't get to stay in Sylph mode very long. So here I am. I have to get out Tsunami, which is almost a 200% damage dealer. I think it's 190 or something like that. So somebody commented very smartly or intelligently on my Freya video saying, hey, you don't need to go with Tsunami, because I picked Tsunami because I had lower cooldown, and that was my logic for it. But they were saying, you don't need to pick Tsunami, you can go with something better that has a low cooldown, because once you go into Sylph mode, you're probably not going to be able to use it multiple times. Because if I want to use Tsunami again, I probably have to use it at the beginning and then later on. But at the beginning, I'm trying to heal everybody, shield, and whatever. So we win that one on timer. I was a little bit worried about timer wins. Bwin or Balwin was asking me before we went in, hey, should we drop one of the knights? Because sometimes we play with just 3 players just to strive for those timer wins. There I end up getting chaosed and stun Bwin. Wasn't patient enough and didn't think about checking for the chaos first. And he was saying, oh, should we drop someone? But it's such a rare occurrence that all 4 of us are online and playing our own tunes and everything, that I really wanted to all play together and have a good time PvPing together. Skoon, it's so hard for him to make these types of events because he's Australian, and so they overlap with his work hours quite often. So we can do other things with him, but this one in particular is pretty tough, and or anything at this hour. And so some things are just more important than trying to get an extra win or two. And I don't think dropping Skoon really would have won us any of the fights that we had there. Maybe that first one, but that's unlikely. Really, it's just more fun being able to have all of us be able to play together and stuff. So here we have Danahi, and then Lord TH, Asha, and Audra. Ordra? Something like that. And so these guys have been really, really tough. We did face them in Chaos War and took a loss to their server because this team is just really, really rough. So Shock did a Fury, but she was chaosed. I asked her for an E, but it doesn't look like she had one. I'm very lucky that heal didn't go to the other team. It did go to the other players on my team, but not myself. So that's a very common way that the group heals get chaos. So there's an assortment of ways that if you're chaos, what will happen when you heal. The worst of which is none of the heals going to your team and completely healing the other team. So I went to timer there. We did take a loss, but I was a little bit confused at the end of that because it didn't show a failure or victory, and I wasn't clicking on the screen. I thought maybe I accidentally clicked out of the screen, but I didn't. So the beginning not looking too great. I promise that we do seem to manage better later on, but whatever it is, a lot of the tough teams end up being stacked at the beginning. And here's Asher. I do have little rivalries with most of the mages, with Shay and all of them, and of course Ray and Chili and Class Wars and things like that. Asher's one of those guys where I feel like he always seems to wiggle his way into really good wins. He is from a very strong server, and I think a lot of his success and his guild success and whatever can be at least partly attributed to the fact that he's just a really good player and very analytical. We're sort of like not spearing animals, but just have a similar sensibility about the team. There it is. It's a terrible chaos. End up healing the whole all of the other team. Ooh, out, and took a big hit from Lil Bish's Thor over there. So yeah, we get wiped out here. That is very, very tough. So big team, and I'm not protecting against Fire and Electro. I had barely any resistance against those sylphs, and I was just banking on being able to do alright. So here we go, this time with Nuva, Sir Canada. Sir Canada is apparently, at least among the Wartune community, very, very good at poker. He is the person who ended up wiping me out of Texas Hold'em, that's why you should not play when you're, really, really tired. Don't just, wake up and decide to play poker in Wartune, or anywhere, for that matter. So, yeah, at least have a cup of coffee first. But anyway, I lost all of my Texas Hold'em chips to him. So, I can buy back in later on. I did get as many points and stuff, rewards out of it, that more than the bare minimum that I wanted to be able to get out of my investment there. So, I don't have a lot of bail-ins at the moment, and I haven't been recharging, so I'm not too sure about buying back in. If I buy back in, it'll be, at most a couple hundred bail-ins, and then it's, I have to make the slow climb to being able to, comfortably play with a good chunk of chips. So, not totally sure about that. We'll see. I don't think I'm going to be buying back in anytime soon. And I do some huge damage with Freya there. So Nuva and Med are, quite big. Sir Canada, I am a little bit surprised how well he's holding up. Okay, maybe I don't know what happened in the shop before. I think Med and Nuva are very, very similar BRs, but it might be a resistance thing or a dimension quality thing, something like that. Or just the fact that Nuva's a knight, so she holds up a little bit better. And there's our timer victory. It's really just hard to kill everybody off. Like, so, you know, somebody said in my prelim video, like, why are you guys so proud of getting these timer wins? And, okay, pride is probably a little bit of an exaggeration. We are terribly pleased with ourselves when we win on timer regardless, because no matter what, whether we have the kids or not, you know, this is a team that can survive to the timer, and plenty of the other teams can survive to the timer as well. And so, you know, full-on, you know, team kills are just unrealistic. So if you just take the fact that everybody, you know, for the most part, if they play their cards right, can make it to a timer in these fights, with a few exceptions. You know, there are a few teams here, maybe 2 or 3, that can completely wipe us out and kill us. 3? Okay, there are a few. But regardless, if you take into that consideration, then everybody's playing to win on timer. So you might as well be the team that figures out how to win on timer. And I really think that we are. I mean, you know, definitely led the charge on dropping kids and all of that good stuff. And so, you know what? Why not be proud of winning? You know, it's not a super dubious thing. We're still fighting. We're still out there up against these guys. So anyway, I you know, not to get overly defensive, but I'm perfectly fine winning the way that we do. It's totally, I wouldn't say shame-based, but shameless. We don't really care. We'll find a way to win. And I mean, in a war game or in a PvP game, for sure, that is the way to go. It's better than just sitting here and getting wiped out. That's for sure. And here's Wing. Wing loves to bring this Electro Sylph. I always know it's coming. Don't bother to protect against it anyway, so sometimes I take a huge hit, and it's sort of rough. She still has some time to wipe me out, and she almost does. Get my Guardian Rune out there, but we're going to timer, and we take the win. And so, I think Artie said something in guild chat or something, and he was like, "You're missing some Divinity Souls on that Freya." And I realized that I took all the Divinity Souls out of the red gear that I have in my Hecate, and took all of the Divinity Souls out of the orange gear that I had in Freya, and I was gonna move all of them over to the Freya gear, or the orange gear, because I can't put that red gear on my Freya at the moment. And then when I was putting the Divinity Souls back, I ended up putting the Divinity Souls back into the red gear instead of moving them into the orange gear. So I'm just sitting here, I have this awesome merge sylph and everything, I'm having fun, and then I realized that I didn't even bump it up to its potential, because it has gear, but it has no Divinity Souls in it. So anyway, so I'm sort of kicking myself over that. I don't think there's any fight here where my Divinity Souls really made a difference, but I don't know, it's just silly. It's really typically absent-minded of me, very typical of me. I think I have a crossover GV video coming up where, like, I'm doing all this stuff, trying to strategize for Wolfpack and everything, and then I end up, you know, leaving my Electro Sylph on, or stuff like that. It's just so terribly typical. It's sad. So here we're up against Euphoric. So this is a group I'm very familiar with. I see Roche. I used to see Roche in BG quite a bit, but either she's not there very often, or I just don't BG much anymore, which I think it might be the latter. I don't like BG too much lately. I also just, I don't know, can't be bothered. I'm not gonna be getting the next medallion anytime soon, so. Actually, I can get the next one with enough Trunkions, but the one after that, the amount of honor that you need is so crazy that I'm just, a little discouraged. These guys still hitting pretty hard. A little bit worried about that Thor, but looks like I'm okay. Got the Guardian Rune up. Another 2 seconds. And we managed the victory. So I do try to scoot over there. You'll see me do that at least a few times. I do eventually get a break because we lose really badly. But yeah, so most of our wins are timer wins, and most of our losses are ones where the team is strong enough to really just wipe us out. So I think maybe we took 1 or 2 timer losses. Here's Enchantress. Somebody named Haleen, who I'm unfamiliar with, who has 4 of the Balin buffs on. You guys at this point know my general opinion of these Balin buffs, and I don't blame people who buy them. I am annoyed that the game put them there anyway, and I think it's silly that people buy them. But people like to win, and so they somehow, and they have lots of bound Balins, because every time you recharge, you end up getting a lot of bound Balins these days, and so people, instinctively just say, okay, well, whatever, I have tons of these things, I might as well do it and try and do better in this event. For me, I just, I've told the whole team, just don't do it, and I don't bother. We just try and do our best as we are, and I much prefer it that way. So yeah, it's not that I don't enjoy myself in Titan War. I have said it's my least favorite PvP event, which it is, but it's mostly just on principle because of those Balin buffs. People cash up these tunes and everything already, and so the idea of having everybody compete and have to Balin in order to win this is a little bit frustrating to me. And so often it is, everybody thinks they have, I have a strong team, we'll all buff up to, 5 to 8 buffs or something like that and win it. And then some other team is thinking the same exact thing. And so they end up just both chipping in a ton of Balins, and one of them wins, but the other one doesn't. Still no successful divinity swap. And here we go. This is a team where we just got wiped out in prelims. I was expecting the absolute worst as well here. So we have Rono, Ray 7, Nighthawk, and Ariel. So these are all people. Ariel, does she? Oh, she has her first merge self. So I don't know what her BR is looking at like these days. I imagine it, even maybe with a merge self, it might be worse than mine or competitive with mine. For sure her player stats are not as good as mine are. And then the rest of them are, I think, over 6 million BR. I'd be very surprised if Nighthawk isn't. He's really hitting hard. But I don't know, I don't see a merge self, so if he's running around with a dark self, maybe he's also a bit lower. Trying to think. We fight them, except for Ray, in crossover GB, so I'm trying to think what I saw there. So maybe Nighthawk isn't 6 million, but for sure Rono and Ray are well above that. I love how it's like, oh yeah, all of them are over 6 million BR. Oh wait, 2 of them aren't. So just don't believe a thing I say. So here we lose so quickly, and I was just like, well, at least I can get my Divinity Souls in. I only get half of them because it takes a while to take all of the Divinity Souls out of my red gear. And so I ended up only getting half of them into the orange gear. So I made sure that I got the HP ones and the attack ones in. And then later on I managed to get a few more of the defense ones in. But, the attack and the HP ones are the main concern, at least for me. And here's my buddy Shay, his in-game wife Warbird, and then there's L'Oreal and Onslaught. I don't know if L'Oreal and Onslaught are married, but I mean, these guys are so lucky. Shay, there's just a plethora of insanely high BR characters on Kabam 23 and its, affiliates, and so there are just too many options for strong PvP teams here. So, you see Shay and Warbird with an assortment of players, sometimes with Hot Ones Budge, sometimes with Dawn Key, or very often with Dawn. So, every single time he manages to have a very strong team, regardless of who else he brings. They're also taking the approach of dropping all the kids, nobody even with like an extra healer or anything like that. The kids get wiped out very early in here. I get why people use Mars Will, and I don't. the spread damage doesn't apply when you get hit with AoEs, and so an AoE is going to do exactly the same amount of damage as it would whether Mars Will is there or not. And so you're only protecting against single target hits. And how many people use single target attacks in Titan War? You know, maybe the Knights will throw in like an EDD or a DD, probably an EDD. And that's about it. And at least for me, when I'm tanking, I don't actually necessarily want to spread that damage to the rest of my group. Maybe for a high BR group like that one, spreading the damage is a good thing. But for me, spreading the damage means spreading it over to Balwin, Skoon, and Shock, which they have a hard enough time surviving through all this in the first place. So that's definitely not something that's practical for our group. I've seen Bwin sometimes use Mars Will in there, and I'm just like, I don't think we need that. So anyway, maybe it works for other teams. They seem to like it, but not my thing. And here's Dark Cali, Dark Knight, El Mago, who used to be Darkhawk Mage, my good buddy, and Cypress, and these guys are super strong. Cypress with 8 buffs, so that's very intimidating. And then Rono had 10 buffs in that group from Kong 1, and the other people in that group also had a few. And so those two, this group and that one are really duking it out for first. So yeah, we're getting wiped out really badly there. Do manage to get a group heal in, hoping for the shield as well. But I needed a Guardian Rune. I was a little bit scared that I was going to die before I could put out that shield, so. Anyway, I'm on my own. I do have a nice little absorption shield, so I'm able to survive a bit longer. But that is pretty much the end of the line. Oh, heal rune, but... Did I just miss the QTE on an ice bolt? I did miss the QTE. Who misses a QTE? Just staring out into the sky or something. Guardian Rune. I guess I'm sticking it out. It probably would have been better for me to just die quickly and then go put my Divinity Souls on, or the rest of my Divinity Souls, but maybe I'm just too proud for that. I do have a little time for them. So here's Gwyn, something like that. Destiny, Zeke, and Fozzie. That's a great name that I'm not totally sure how to say. But so these guys over from, I think we have fought these guys before, Wartune 100 or something like that. We've seen them in crossover GP and things like that stuff. Zeke really moving up. I think he was in Class Wars Warlords Hall last month. Becoming quite strong. Also has a red Frigga. And so I couldn't immediately make my Freya into a red Frigga. I don't have enough emblems for that. So I think I'm just going to take it easy and slowly get those emblems. Try and get a lot of free ones as well. There might be an opportunity with a chest exchange, but of course I want to try for mounts and things like that. And so, if I spend too many trying to get emblems, which are pretty high cost as far as chests go, I won't have as many opportunities to get mounts. So it is a little bit tougher when you're not cashing a ton of chests. So obviously I got a lot of them, the set of events that involve me making Freya, but moving forward I don't have a lot of options at the moment. So really just got to take it easy and wait it out, try and get a lot of free emblems and see if there's an opportunity for me to make Frigga. I do have enough of the other materials to make Frigga, but just not enough emblems. I'm actually closer to being able to... okay, if you disregard the Balin cost, I'm actually closer to being able to make Odin. Here's Zeke hanging on. We're hoping to take him out. Probably can get these steals out, and we get him. Which is always more comfortable than letting things go to timer. I mean, clearly we have a timer advantage. They have a bunch of kids and stuff on. We've dealt a lot of damage, but you never know. Much rather just kill them off, and we don't have a lot of teams where we can kill everybody, so that is always feels good. And here, the queen of changing her name. So I think at the moment, Queenie Bee, formerly cocoa beans, red beans, a lot of different types of beans, and a lot of things with the word bee in them, is now Faye Paul with the little hearts around her, who's I think the highest BR archer at the moment, and then her group with black beans, which is black beans is either her in-game husband or an alt. Not totally sure, you know, it's hard to keep track of everybody. And then Pono and Joker Smoker, who are also pretty up there. See Joker Smoker with that fire sylph. I might have had a little fire resistance on. I think the one that I protected against the least was the Electro one. Sort of was just banking on being able to like heal my way out of a bad Electro situation. So here we go. Sort of classic set of skills to, or classic rotation, I guess you could call it. Try and heal the group, shield them up, because I can't immediately shield. If you know, if I had the option, I would use the shield, the group shield immediately, and then go ahead and heal. But I can't do that because it's a Delphic, and I have to wait 10 seconds to use it. So better off trying to heal. So now B is the only one left. Stun is out. She has that Guardian rune on. We only have 15 seconds to beat her. Don't think it's gonna happen. You know, Frigga's a real pain to kill. So we do get that victory on timer, but just Frigga and Freya are just great. The passives on it increase your player HP and both defenses, MDef and PDef, by 5%. And so it's a really great sylph if you're the person, you know, in my case, you know, tanking. So you up your defense, up your HP, and then it has all these heals, it has shields and stuff. It's just really hard to kill somebody with a Freya. So if you do, you know, be terribly pleased with yourself. You know, I've had some fights, you know, some of my BG videos up against B where she had, and some other players, you know, sometimes see Trinity in there, you know, going around with Frigga. And those fights last forever because it just takes so long to kill. For sure, the longest fight I've ever had in Wartune has something to do with a Frigga at this point. Frigga, or maybe before they nerfed the resistances before that patch. Not totally sure. But I think it has to do with a Frigga. And a bit of trouble here. Don't shock, please E, so I don't shield the whole other team. I think the shield ends up going on 2 of our players, but even that's lucky that I didn't shield everybody else. They have their own Frigga though. And this is Chili Mac, Conan, Sergeant Rob, and Guan Yu. So these guys pretty tough. I think if to the death, we're in some big trouble, but on timer, I don't think these guys are able to really take us out. They have all these kids going on, so we're at a big advantage. Always a little worried when I see these Thors. At the same time, I can't be bothered to protect against them, so that's the real reason why I'm worried. Some people say, oh, they deal so much damage if you protect against them anyway. No, if you have a good set of resistances, if you really, really push your crystals and you protect it against a Thor the way that people protect against Odin and stuff, you'd be fine. Like, you would really be okay. But the fact is that almost nobody does that, and that's, I think, a huge part of why they deal so much damage. Obviously, they're very, very strong, they have huge skills, but I really think it's just how people protect against them, or how people don't protect against them, that why they become a bigger deal than they really are. There, Shock's Puree gets chaosed, and so it did heal me, but it didn't get to her. So just throw a little E. Here we have Muzen, Dreamy, Big Bailey, and Chikan, something like that. Oh, I guess it's not a CH. Well, whatever. Somebody whose name I cannot pronounce. So I see a few buffs. Actually, somebody big back in the back. Is that Big Bailey with 8 buffs? I did not notice that when we were fighting. Dreamy with 3. Last time around, I think Muzen had some, but this time around, it looks like he's taking a break from that. Or last time was the exception. I think that's what he said about it at one point. It looks like somebody used one of those Where is that buff coming from? That green one? The little guy? Is that from a kid? It looks like one of the knight skills, but it's on someone that's not a knight. It's on one of the kids. Oh, it's a knight kid. Okay, I'm not familiar with the knight kid skills. The Dreamy also has Freya. I feel like a little bit of a sellout now that I have a merged sylph. At the same time, I'm really relieved that I feel like I had so much more success with Freya. I think there are some some fights here where if I only had Poseidon and I only had the group heal and wasn't able to shield the rest of the team, that we would have lost. That I wouldn't have been able to survive the whole thing without the rest of my team there to support me. So at least for me, when using Freya, I at least felt like it was doing something. So it wasn't like I bought this fancy sylph and then all of a sudden there was absolutely no impact. So we'll see how she works as a troop in Class Wars coming up. But at least here, I was really pleased with Freya and really pleased with the team. We did great. We ended up getting 5th place, which I was really surprised by because I thought, you know, usually we just get beaten up so badly that we end up somewhere like 8th or 9th or something like that. And this time was a better performance for us. And Shay was trying to get 6th, but he always tries against us because we have our little rivalry going. So that was very nice. So I'm glad they won their wager. Also, a big congratulations to my good buddies. So all the Darks, Dark Kelly, Dark Knight, Mako and Cypress. Very happy to see them win, and ended up eking out Ray 7, Rono, Ariel, and who was the other? And Nighthawk, they both went with 14 wins, and these guys had a higher BR, and so yeah. Anyway, big congratulations to them. Very happy for them, and so I mean, that's Titan War. I mean, we try to have realistic goals for it, and do as best we can. Can show the Freya here if you haven't seen it already. The skill setup, the gear, and everything. Even though I did show some of that throughout the video. So really like her. It's going well. Of course, would love to make her red. I do have the advanced Mahra for that. But at the moment, no Frigga, so can't do that quite yet. But thanks for watching, guys. Take care, and have a very good day.